Welcome to Doctor On Call with your host, DocGriffon. The doctor will be with you momentarily. Our guest this evening is YouTube content creator Irate Prostate. For your safety, please remain seated with arms, hands, and feet inside the talk show at all times until the interview comes to a complete stop. Doc Griffin, paging Doc Griffin, you're needed in the OR. Stat.
And thank you, Nurse Wicked. Hey, tonight, I hope you're going to enjoy a talk between two boomer YouTubers. This should be a good time. And honestly, I wanted to get Irate Prostate on the show just because of the fact that we might or might not share the same perspective, but we kind of share the same age range. And the people that I normally interview are like 20s, 30s, or if they're outside of the sphere of YouTube, they're in their 60s and 70s. So it's kind of nice to have a kindred spirit here. And with that, let me welcome to Doctor On Call, our pal, Irate Prostate. How are you doing this evening?
I'm all right, Doc. Every day above ground is a good day. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you on that. I feel you. Now, of course, for those who aren't familiar with Irate, down in the descriptor, there's his Twitter and his YouTube. He runs a myriad of shows too online, and we will definitely get to that. But I always like the Do Re Mi, starting at the very beginning because it's a pretty good place to start. Where did you grow up?
All right. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, but about 9 months after had been born, when I was 9 months old, my dad got this job in Nashville, Tennessee, and so we moved up there, and I lived up there till I was 17, and then we moved back down to Alabama, and I'm still here. So I grew up in Nashville during the Cold War.
Now, did you have siblings?
Yeah, I got a baby sister who I terrorized for maybe 18 years.
Well, and you get to big brother it too. You get to be the protector.
It's really weird, It's like we were at fucking constant war with each other, and now we're like thick as thieves. We're real tight.
Oh yeah, I have an Irish twin sister. We were born 10 months apart. Good God, did we fight? But we're kind of okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you were starting out, your first memories, I'm guessing, had nothing to do whatsoever with the internet. Now, as a kid, through like elementary school, the normal thing is you get a second or third grade teacher asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your idea back then?
It depended on the day you asked me. It was either an astronaut or a doctor.
Okay.
I don't know why. I liked drawing. Look, I'm a very extroverted person most of the time, and so being center stage is kind of my thing. I love it. I love attention and shit, and it kind of, my behavior kind of dictated.
Well,
I was a class clown.
Anybody who is a content provider on YouTube always smells a little bit of ham. So
absolutely. Oh yeah, I have to cop to my narcissism, man. I'd be a fucking, a liar if I didn't.
Yeah, it's a well, and we'll kind of get into that later. But how did you occupy yourself as a preteen and teen?
Oh, how do you think?
Yeah. Hopefully recklessly, because we were the last generation that could get away with it.
When I wasn't jacking off, and that was a definite pastime for a while. I don't know, man. I didn't. I was kind of a late bloomer, kind of an awkward kid. extroverted yet really weird, awkward with people. In a close proximity. I learned that when I went to parties, I actually had fun that I didn't remember when I got drunk.
Oh,
And I've got a predilection for alcohol. That's not a good one at all.
Well,
And
if somebody grabbed one of your junior high school or high school yearbooks and they were flipping through it, would they find your face in any of the club pictures?
Oh yeah, drama club, art club, German club. I was in there.
Wow.
My senior year, I deliberately rolled my eyes in the back of my head. So all the group pictures I was in, it looks like I look like Magog, basically, without a beard. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like my bio. I sucked at German, but I sure liked the girls in German club.
Yeah. I like the language. I thought I was part German. Ancestry.com destroyed that facade.
Oh yeah, what'd they give you for your breakdown?
It was I didn't do my DNA, man. Look, giving people your DNA that you don't know and giving them permission to have it and signing all that shit away to me is a really bad idea. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's the reason why I won't do it. Because it's like, why do you need to have my? I mean, I'll donate at a sperm bank if somebody wants my DNA, but besides that, no, thank you.
I feel you, So yeah, but it was when my dad, all right, is the youngest of 10.
Wow.
My mom is the youngest of 8. Mom's side was Irish and Catholic. Her grandmother was off the boat. They called her Ma Pearl, and my grandmother's name was Opal. And then my mom was the youngest of her 8 children.
Wow.
Her 94-year-old sister, who was fucking sharp as a tack to the day she dropped dead, dude. She just passed away this past year. And it's really strange because her baby daughter died like the day before yesterday. And Doc and I are in the area of life where like death is like, on the plate and on the table,
Oh yeah.
And it happens to us on a.
Well, and sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, we know our parents are aging, and this may sound like a cruel thing, but we really do want them to pass before we die. Because that's the one thing your parents never want to see is a death of any of their kids.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. But it's like I've had some friends, pass away past couple of years. This lifelong friend, I even worked with her for a while. She died the night fucking Trump got elected.
No, it wasn't because Trump got elected.
I think she was on oxygen.
Yeah, okay.
At the point, I think it was an OD, but I'll never know. So
yeah,
I won't be able to answer it. If it was an OD, it was accidental.
Yeah, when you get to this age, it's hard to be rocked by death unless it's somebody who's like incredibly young, who's never had the chance to live the life.
Yeah.
But when you're getting you're heading towards the door in high school. Did you have any idea what you wanted to do, where you wanted to be? Because once again, we have to jump back to the fact that internet really didn't exist for humanity until about 92 or 93, and I'm guessing you probably graduated somewhere in the 80s. So we didn't have that.
Yeah. No, we. I don't know. It was interesting. So it was. I was kind of, I went to state college for a year. And I remember one day my roommate and I just looked at each other and said, I'm not going to class today, are you? And we did like lots of acid.
Oh,
Acid, yeah, a lot of LSD white barrels, primarily.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I feel you. And so, needless to say, we didn't get a lot done. So I made it home and I'll say this: I did go to the University of Alabama for that 1 year. All right, I'll even cop to the school. Roll Tide, JTR, Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide.
I see him in the chat there. But yeah, I came back with a 0.00 grade point average. And so yeah, I was told to get a job and just go to the fucking 2-year college and see if I can manage that before thinking about going to another place.
The only class I will say, because I took a year of college too, the only class I failed was dance class. I had to take a dance class.
A dance class.
Now the funny thing about it was I was doing a lot of mind altering substances myself, and there are many times where I would go in still kind of tripping balls because it was an early class, and I just watch people plie and melt into the floor.
Yeah, dude, I got a thing for ballerinas. I went to a fine arts college, man, where it was like dance, piano, theater, and fine art. The visual arts were like really the focus of the school, and then there was a business component to it that made it stand out. It's in not Newsweek, but it's always in that top 10 of the best values.
So would you say you always had kind of a passion for the theatrical?
Oh yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, when I was in the junior college beforehand, I even took. I said, okay, I'll give the communications thing a shot, right? Because I was interested in radio. At that point, radio seemed like a viable future. And so I said, fuck, let's give it a shot. And if not, I can, I'll learn how to operate cameras and know how to, do a mix, a crude mix, and a really cheap fucking studio, doing these, visual programs, interviews and stuff.
So was it mom or dad who more influenced your passions?
Well, it was like when I was a kid, my mom, man, she has the ability to sing exactly, fucking creepily exactly like Patsy Cline. And she was really enamored with Patsy Cline when we moved up to Nashville. So she was really sing-songy. She was one of those, people, doing housework and stuff. She'd listen to music, and so I grew up listening to the fucking Beatles and the Prefab Four, the Monkees, Stepping Stone, things like that.
Because you and I have talked behind the scenes quite a bit, and it seems like music is a crucial component to who you are.
Yeah, I love music. It's one of the few things that has been kind of constant in my life. Also, there's a couple of hobbies and stuff that I do, but music is always, it's always there for me. It's like we kind of talked beforehand. I've got my little my get in my head space kind of. There's a specific song. I'm a little OCD about shit, and sometimes I'll have little rituals, kind of like like a sports guy or some shit. But before every show I have to do this thing, and part of it is listening to a song, and it's Tool's cover of "No Quarter" by Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
which is a fucking phenomenal song. I've been listening to this new punk band. People, if you like punk rock, it is not dead. There's this a 2-piece band out of Britain right now called Slaves. Just listen to them, man. They've got a page on. They got a YouTube page. They got all these great videos. They've only been around like 3 or 4 years, and they're young and they're fresh and they're good. So while I was thinking about it, I wanted to get that.
Okay, so you're in a movie, right? And it's a movie about you. You come walking through the door. What's your theme song playing?
Oh, dude. That's a great question, because I would almost think "Give Me Back My Bullets"
Oh,
by Skinner.
So you're looking for trouble then?
You see, I've been a huge, growing up in Nash Vegas, like I was, exposed to all that fucking country music, and so Skinner, was actually like rock and roll, compared to the country.
Well, yeah, I mean they were pretty much the crossover to the country and rock charts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were like, at the end there, they were like, kind of easing their way into like stadium shit. They were taking a harder, more bluesy direction when the plane crash happened. And that's one of the things that was because of that. My dad got me 2 promo posters of the Street Survivors album. The one with the flames all over it. I've got an original promo for that. It's all the shit you accumulate during this years, man. I had all these concert tickets, man, and I fucking lost them, man. I don't know where they're at. I got mine
packed somewhere away. I took and I put all my concert tickets together because I saved them up in a cigar box, and then I had somebody laminate them into a sheet.
Oh, sweet. See, I should have done that, man. That's a good idea.
Well, but here's the dumb thing. When you get to the 80s, they had that heat-sensitive paper. So there's black spots on the sheet now.
Oh, dude. Oh, and then there was, back in the 80s, they were using those cloth, paste ons, where I've got a bunch of those somewhere. I don't know where they are. I saw Wendy O. Williams' tits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say things like that.
Well, and then again, I mean, people looking back with in perspective, the younger people, and I'm going to boomer out on the audience here. They had no idea what the Plasmatics and Wendy O. Williams were about, but they were a performance band, and you don't really see performance bands anymore.
No, and that was really cool how they crossed over into actual band, into actual music, and then she went solo. But they started out, you're absolutely right, with Butcher Baby and the fucking chainsaw and stuff, man.
Yeah, and
crazy.
Well,
stuff.
they got a big push because they got somebody by the name of Lemmy Kilmister behind them.
Yeah, man. The Stand By Your Man. Tammy Wynette, that's fucking awesome. I love it.
Yeah, he gave them a couple of songs. The only one that's coming to mind right now, they redid No Class.
Yes, No Class. That's it. That's on that EP that they put out. That's a great record. Girl School, the EP for them with them is good too. Yeah. See, I turned Uzi on to Girl School a couple of weeks ago, and she's loving it. So yeah, see, being this dude can talk fucking music all night long.
So now I know that you went the band way.
Yes.
Now, when you started off, what direction did you want to head in? Because you're already talking about how there was a huge country influence with you by living in Nashville, but and I know 99% of the bands always start with covers. So flesh out your band for me.
All right, but I do need to back up a little bit, because being a Southerner in the South at that time, I went out of my way to like disown the South, right? I don't know how to say it. In my person, I tried to disavow being Southern, and try to talk without an accent and things like that. So I really rejected that stuff. And so, and I was, and my dad, when I was a kid, every weekend, every Friday or Saturday, we went to the drive-in and we watched horror films. I'm talking fucking everything from H.G. Lewis, to Corman, to the Hammer classics, every weekend. every weekend. He'd get a fucking shopping bag, fill it with popcorn, and you know, and he and I would go. Sometimes the whole family would go, but man, I'd seen all those. So this leads up to this, you know, to me, right? And you know, this I don't know. I'm somewhere in my 20s, I guess, and I don't know. I start goofing around with these people. I met this kid that was a big friend of a friend that I had, and he had just moved near to where I lived. And he kept calling me up, and he was a drummer. He was a big fucking Motley Crue freak. So this dude named Anthony. He was funny as shit. He was crazy. And skinny as a rail, dude. I mean, that kid was just, and he was a solid. He was a 16, 17-year-old kid. And he didn't go to school. He had dropped out and all this shit, right? And he said, "Man, we got to get a band together. We got to get a band together." And I had these friends at school, and I said, "Well, you know, we'll see what happens." So I went up and got him, and we're in this basement of one of the dorms at the school. And supposedly it was like it had been cleared out because they were doing some kind of getting rid of some asbestos in the upper levels, right? And so it was supposed to be empty, but it wasn't. There were people that were pissing off eventually, but we ended up doing some music and stuff, and you know, we had like a guy that was influenced by like Black Flag and ZZ Top.
Well, what was
you know? See, at the end, we kind of started having this weird Texas thing. It was like a friend of mine described this as like we were like Husker Du on crack at first, right? If that makes any sense, it was really high pitched and fast, and you know, every song was like, you know, it was just
So what was the first actual song that you guys had down? You know, the one cover that, okay, this is what we're going to open up with, bang, and we're going to hit them with it to show that we can play.
Man, we really didn't do many covers. You know, I guess after we got a little bit tighter, we did a cover of Sweet Emotion with a funk break at the end of it instead of which was kind of cool. Let's see, I'm trying to think. We did a song called Manic Mechanic by ZZ Top. I'm trying to remember because it's everybody like had something that Paranoid of Black Sabbath was one, and we had worked on a version, like a really fast version of the song Time by Pink Floyd, like a thrashy version of it, but we never played it live. We weren't confident enough.
So what was?
I mean,
so what was your instrument?
My throat. I can play acoustic guitar. There's a couple of songs where studio. Really, the two best things that we've done. I have. If you know me, I might let you listen to them. They may be on my Discord somewhere. but yeah, I listened to. There's a couple of songs I can't find. But we were together maybe 4 to 5 years. Had problems with personnel, man. Fucking Spinal Tap shit, you know, the usual stuff, man. And then we started. We hooked up with this different drummer and bass player, and they could just rock the funk, man. So we started doing this Chili Peppers. With the jazz edge, well, always this weird kind of jazz edge to it, which was really cool. And I think a lot of the musicians, they were writing music to more like impress other musicians instead of writing stuff that would be more like commercially accessible. which is I totally got that, but there was a point there where I was like trying to say, y'all, this is going to get out. We're going to be in jazz excursion, right? At some point, it's like. And
so, were you leaning more into George Clinton or Frank Zappa?
No, it was more like more like Chili Peppers-y with that Clinton funk bass, right? And then some of the jazz stuff would be nuanced on the guitar. Weird, I can't, choppy riffs that were jazz, that weren't meant to be played that way, but they were jazz riffs being played like rock riffs.
Gotcha.
And it worked. It worked. There was always, and a couple of the songs had this weird dissonant quality, and that worked. I don't know. I'd say I don't know jack shit about music, and I don't know about, theory or what a Lydian progression or any of that kind of shit is. But I know the best songs are the ones that came together.
All I know is until I got the lead singer gig with one of the high school bands, they always wanted me to be the bass player. And every time they're like, let's do a Sabbath song, I'm like, are you fucking crazy? Have you ever listened to the Black Sabbath riffs? Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Because I sucked. I sucked at being a bassist. Lead singer did a decent job. But yeah, I know because George Clinton was the producer on the Mother's Milk album and the Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. And that stuff was just amazing.
Yeah, so Psycho Sexy. I was just listening to that yesterday, man.
Oh, I love the breakdown at the end of that song.
Yeah, man, it's great. It's that whole yeah, it's right out of fucking.
Yeah, I love the
man.
And it's nice out here. Yeah. I think I'll stay for a while.
It's good stuff, people. It's filthy and it's good. Deep inside of the Garden of Eden, sitting here with the heart on bleeding. Got a devil in the dick. There's a demon in my semen. Every time I play that song, he goes, "Turn it off! Turn it off!"
I did that at karaoke one night and got booed. But then again, trolling nature, I'm okay with that. I got to do what I want, and I took my lumps. Now, since we're at the bottom of the hour, let me just fill the chat in. For those who are new, we're going to have a Q&A at the top of the hour. So if you have any questions for Irate Prostate, get them ready. And when we call for it, we'll load it up in the chat, and we'll ask them as they come. But, of course, if you are new and you don't know anything about Irate, then check him out. His links are in the descriptor down there. Not only the Twitter, but he runs 4 different shows on the YouTubes. And we're going to get into that in just in just a little bit. But I'm really fascinated about people, especially my age, how they kind of slide into the technology, because this is one thing that a lot of people nowadays, especially those who listen on YouTube, are legitimately born into the technological era, and we weren't. It's just one of those things we had to learn along the way. Now, as far as it goes, I know they say that according to AOL, when they first made their hit in 92 and 93, that there was no real internet until they came along. And of course there was like CompuServe and all that shit that came before it, and BBSs. How did you start on your route to technology?
Well, I would say the music, kind of opened the door for me. At one time I owned one of those cheap Radio Shack synthesizers. So, electronic kind of stuff kind of like had my interest. I was a big fan of that whole like Kraftwerk, even Tangerine Dream, some of that,
like Bauhaus, so, like the European stuff.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Joy Division recently, and it's got me because I never really got into New Order, and so I started listening to New Order. Man, I really love that shit, man. It's like that bass player. I mean, you talk about a good bass player. But I got lost again. I was like,
passion is what drives people.
So getting in touch with this. Time goes along. I'm going to finish out the band story because it is a tale of caution. As the band went on and as we started getting more attention, we were playing gigs outside like Atlanta, opened for Dinosaur Jr. one time, in Nashville, Huntsville, for God's sakes. Huntsville, Alabama is like a horrible place to play, but it's also a crazy place. It's heaven and hell. And I had met this guy named Richard Robinson, who was I had seen him on Don Kirshner's rock concert one night he was a stage magician.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't know any of the other shit that I learned about him until later. Okay. So this guy says, well, send me some cassettes of what y'all are doing. Let me see what's going on. And so I would send him some cassettes. He would call me and tell me what he thought we needed to do this or that. He was really pushing this band called Prong. But Prong? And his wife owned
like snap your fingers, snap your neck, Prong? Okay.
Prong. Yeah. Yeah. He said, I'm trying to get you into this groove because I think that y'all have the ability to do it. And to be honest, I could see the grunge thing, like us fitting right into that, like a Smashing Pumpkins-y kind of thing. Right. That's what we were becoming. The early stuff was real, hardcore fast punk. And then, at the end I'm singing, actually doing like falsetto, really high pitched stuff. And then of course, sing-songy stuff in my natural voice. And so he said, okay, he and his wife, his wife's a lady named Lisa Robinson. I didn't find this out until like the internet. Okay. That she was a writer for Rolling Stone magazine who actually discovered the Ramones.
Okay.
Right. And they owned Robinson Records. He had produced, I want to say Lou Reed's first solo album. It's not the one with White Light, White Heat, but and the one before Transformer.
Okay.
I didn't know that, right? So that's the dude who's trying to develop us, and he says, "Okay, look, how about we do a development deal, get you studio time, blah blah blah." And it's like I had read these books on, what not to do to fuck up in the music business. And rule number 1 was never spend your own money. And rule number 2 was constantly refer to rule number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he was willing to put us in a studio and develop 5 songs. And it was 2 weeks to the day that we were supposed to sign the, to sign up for this thing, right? To do all the paperwork and legal shit. And one by one, I got a call. And this is because when I get drunk, I do stupid, horrible shit that I don't remember.
Uh-oh.
All right? Yeah. Call number 1, bass player, man. I need to leave the band. But number 2, the drummer, and then the third one was the guitar player, who had the main reason to leave. And there I was, left with me, and so I ended up, and I got decided I had to go legit, and get a job and shit. So I ended up working at this place, and it panned out. I was good at what I did there, and so getting about the time that because back then everybody in college was like had taken a computer class, but me, because I didn't want to. They scared me, right? Because it just seemed like there's too much shit going on here, right? It was really way too busy for me. And that's back when floppy disks were actually literally floppy and about, I don't know, 6x6, like a 45 record.
Yeah. 5-inch floppies. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so that was the last time I really saw anybody doing anything with computers, and that terrified me. It just looked too busy. And so a couple years later, it's like I've got a good job. He's working good, man. We're doing pretty solid, and so I buy this computer. I fucked it up in every way possible. This is an IBM computer. I think it cost $600. It had a 7 gigabyte hard drive. Right. And it was cutting edge everything. Man. It had Windows 98. So I guess it was not 98, or it was 97. It was right before 98 was going to come out.
Dude, my first one was an NCR 286. That you could barely run a BBS on. So, yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's where I went from there, learning Windows. I actually liked Windows. It was intuitive enough to where I learned how to navigate stuff. Because during all this time, I had been not drinking. Because of the thing with the band and everything, at some point I decided I needed to stop drinking, and I quit drinking for about 13 years, and then I forgot that shitty things happened when I drank, and I think it was a midlife crisis thing too. I went back out and started drinking again. So I'm like 12 years on the other side of that.
Well, and honestly, I don't think that's an uncommon thing, because you will get to a certain age, like either you hit your late 20s, early to mid 30s, and all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute, all those things that I hoped and dreamed when I was in my teenage years, all these hills I was going to climb, all these goals that I was going to accomplish, I need to redefine those. And that legitimately can throw you into a deep depression. And of course, if you want to get away from that depression, the biggest thing offered up, especially in our generation, was, hey, drinking's legal, why not?
Yeah. Well, and there was also it's like all the people that I hung out with back in my punk days and shit. It was like there was a certain group that I hung out with, it was like, so I got back in touch with them. And so I was basically 17 years old again at the age of 42.
Wow.
Right. And it took 4 years of, one of the friends that I had died fucking shooting up heroin. The dude was 50 years old shooting up heroin. Who in the fuck
Jerry
does
Garcia.
That? I mean, yeah. You see where he was, and that's another influence. I think it's important for people to realize John Belushi.
Man, he was mine too.
I remember that first Saturday Night Live, man, with Carlin on it. That's the reason I watched it, was because Carlin was going to be on it. Yeah. Hippie Dippy Weatherman, and before he got in the 7 words you can't say on television, before he really got in his groove about playing with the language in a really cool way. He was just having fun, doing that hippy dippy shit. Stoner dude, and of course at that point in time everybody was pretty much getting high.
Yeah,
I mean everybody. I was a freshman in high school, and in Tennessee, if you were 18, you could buy beer. So of course you palled around with a couple of the seniors, right? And you cop a ride with them, and of course.
Well,
buying, drinking shitloads of beer and shit.
Pot was no big deal. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, it's the 1920s and it's reefer madness. People smoke, that's okay. But yeah, I mean
I never got suicidal smoking weed.
No. And honestly, it's one of those things, and I'm still against to this day, that if alcohol, which has caused so much death and so many problems, has been legal since, you know, time eternal, except for the prohibition thing, you know. What was the old Bill Hicks joke that you can never get into a fight when you're high?
No shit. It's just you know, and I don't know if you have had a chance to sample in a legal area some of the current manifestations that are growing.
Good God, no! The whole deal right now. I live in the state of Ohio. That's common knowledge. Medicinal marijuana is legal. They've decriminalized possession of it, but there are literally in the state only 4 doctors that can prescribe marijuana, and there are no places in the state of Ohio that actually grow. So it's a catch-22. It's legal, but they don't want to bring in interstate commerce. They want everything to be done here in the state, and to get a good grow farm is going to take forever.
It's because the feds, man. Yeah, it's the feds that are, you know, shitting on all this shit. You know, but yeah, you're preaching the choir on that stuff, man. So yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I played with my brain cells a lot. You know, I did everything from, you know, ludes. You know, back in the 80s, man, cocaine was the big thing.
Seriously,
you know,
do you not miss ludes,
dude? Yeah. occasionally, man. You know, it's like a good old face number, man. Oh man, I just the use of that word, man. I went back in time, just because they were so fucking just everywhere. You know, it's like $4.
Yeah, you know, it's
$4.
They're still they're still being produced in Europe.
Yeah, and in Mexico, you can get them in Mexico.
I don't know. I haven't had one since the 80s, but damn, that was a smooth ride.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think that, as far as it goes with any type of stimulants, do you think that impedes in the creative process?
Cocaine especially, man. I think that you know, I was doing a lot of coke at one point in my artistic phase. In my, you know, I was doing paintings. I've got a degree in drawing, painting, sculpture, printmaking, but primarily sculpture and drawing. Okay, and a minor, enough to minor in psychology. So.
Well, I'm okay with it. Normally, it was me doing acid. One of my favorite things was a buddy of mine who was a great guitarist. We had both tripped together, and he would just play riffs all night, and I would draw to it.
Yeah. Well, see, and see, cocaine was horrible with creativity, right? Because when you're doing the art, whatever it is, you think you're doing the best thing on the planet, man. And it's just like, you know, you're coked out, blah, 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 snowblind. We're talking, we're jamming, I'm drawing, I'm painting, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, the next day when I would wake up, and it would look like a piece of shit. Or the song would be horrible.
Creatively, when you're on cocaine, it is, okay, man, I'm taking 2 steps forward. And then when you come down, you realize you took 4 steps back.
Exactly. That's exactly my experience, and you know, and that's one of those drugs I got suicidal on, coming down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm, not to dissuade anybody in the chat. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, but cocaine is the only drug that I've ever had where it's been. Once you start coming down, it's like, oh, you got to get more. There's almost like a panic to it. Whereas normally, if you get really high smoking pot, you just go to sleep.
Yep. You just chill out, man. And that's what I would do, though. I would primarily, when I would do coke, though, I would use it to drink more. Because it could be like I would be shit-faced drunk on fucking hard liquor, and do a couple of lines, man. I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Let's roll. And then it would wear off, and I would get.
Yeah, it does that artificial straightening you up thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
oh man, I remember talking to this cop one night, man. He said, son, if I see you driving, he helped me out. I locked my keys in my car, man. And I was trashed. Oh my God. I should not have been, dude. There were so many. 5 years. I shouldn't have been driving at night. And I don't know how I didn't kill anybody or myself. I'm really
that's one of those things where you just need to rip off the rear view mirror of hindsight and just throw it away and thank whatever power that you believe in that you made it this far.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's yeah. And so we're talking about booger sugar. Let's see.
Well, that real independent media, people being able to post things didn't start happening until YouTube started happening, around, 2005, somewhere around there. Were you a big YouTube watcher when it first started off?
I wasn't. I was more active in a couple of these like hobby groups, man, and sports message boards and stuff, and occasionally, there would be like videos posted, the famous monkey, sticking his finger up his butt and smelling falling out of the tree, goofy shit like that. It's like, okay, I love that. And I've always been attracted. I'm a big fan of Diane Arbus, an artist who kind of focused back in the early 60s on like fringe society, like transvesticism and drag queens and dwarves.
So technically, what they'd kind of call the deviant nature back then.
Yeah, exactly. She explored that. She ended up committing suicide. She was married to the guy that played the psychiatrist on MASH.
I can only think of the name. Sidney Friedman.
Yeah, was the doctor. See, I know weird, stupid shit like that. But yeah, she's so I'm drawn to the weird, and perverse. I guess my the whole horror story, horror background. I still love horror to this day. A big fan of Lovecraft. So all this plays into who I am.
Now, do you remember who you first subscribed to?
My first subscription on YouTube. All right, that would probably been Romy Molina,
really,
of all people. Yeah, back when she was doing the POW tunes and shit, and was just a voice. I remember, I think when I joined, she had like 48, 49 people. I mean, she just really caught on. Somebody from Facebook had posted something she did, and I said, dude, that was awesome. And so that's kind of how I got hooked into and then I started, going on, and seeing more people. I became a regular of the Lords of the Night, what's called the Lords of the Night now, or the Ranting Monkey, Scribe Light, and what was then Some Dumb American Show. and just to chat right with them. Loved watching Warski afternoons, man. Every afternoon, 3:00, it'd be like Chris and Andy Warski talking to somebody. They may be cool, they may not be cool, but it was funny as shit. It was well paced. It just went bam, bam, bam. It was like, and I loved it. So I was starting to gravitate towards watching certain people, and then you got to like shoe on head, and it's like, okay, blah blah blah. So of course the biggest bearing was like holy shit, this is where's he been?
I'm gonna be honest with you, because the people in the chat can keep a secret. The first person that I ever subbed to was myself. From a no.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I
did it from an alternate account because at the time we were making a movie. This was back in like 2007.
Well, the original account that I had on here was a hobby channel, and then I had another channel where I was like reviewing this television show called The Outsiders.
Oh yeah, I like that show.
Yeah, I did too, man. And so I would do a breakdown of that week's show and talk about it, about what I thought was going on, comparing it to the Arthurian, legend, because there's all these parallels with King Arthur and stuff. And that's really what I was kind of doing, right? And I opened the Irate Prostate account up on Twitter as a troll because somebody named Steve Shives blocked me. And I swear, and I mean, I was like, well, hold on, man. I just joined this fucking thing. Why am I blocked by this dude? And so I started watching this shit, and I'm going, well, I'm not so uncomfortable with being blocked by this guy.
I watched his trying to parallel Star Trek figures into SJW context. And then I started trolling him, and he still has not blocked me. I'm so disappointed. I mean, JF blocked me after one potato meme. But now as far as it goes, when you started with YouTube, I'm going to guess that you're one of those people that didn't have a money goal to it.
No, man. I just wanted to I met this kid named Occam, and we kind of hit it off, and the next night I see the kid streaming with Sugar Tits, and I mean it's just them two in the stream for 2 hours talking about animals and shit. And so I said, this kid is interesting. And so he and I banded back and forth, and we started streaming together. And we streamed with Cognitive Thought once. Never got to stream with Sugar Tits. If you're listening, just saying, still heartbroken from that. Uzi understands. She gets it. So one Friday night, he says, "Hey man, let's do something. We got a couple hours. It started out as a hangout. That's what it was, right? For 2 weeks, it was a hangout, and he invited this guy called Dual Wield on, and this guy named T-Tac. This dude that I need to hit this guy up on Silverblade. I haven't talked to him in a while, and I think it was us, right? And we just were talking and shit and banting and laughing and goofing off, and after a couple of weeks, we all started saying, this might be fun to do, in front of people. Let's see what happens. And so we started it, and it's mutated, and it started out as the cream stream. We were supposed to rotate who had it every week, and ended up I took it, and it's cool. T-Tac is funny as fuck. He trolled the shit out of he would do it on a regular basis. He would troll Occam. It was so funny. If you guys know Occam, you know what I'm talking about. And there's on my website on my YouTube page, my website.
Yeah, I got to.
I had that.
Yeah,
clip.
I got to meet
It's funny
T-Tech
as
down in Knoxville.
yeah, and he looks exactly like what you.
That he's an ugly bastard, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. He's awesome. He's awesome.
I'm not drawing any points either. So,
Oh,
now, of course,
Yeah.
we are coming up to the top of the hour. So, anybody in the chat who has questions for Irate, please feel free. Go ahead, load them in, and we'll ask them as they come.
Is it cool if I duck for a second and
Oh
take
no,
care of business?
go
You know
for
what
it.
I'm
I got a minute or two
nudge.
that I can cover. Go for it.
All right, cool, man.
Now, of course, if you're not familiar with Irate, I know most of you are. Look down in the descriptor. There's his Twitter and the YouTube. I also have my stuff listed down there. There's my Twitter, my Streamlabs, my Patreon. I got a TeePublic store. Also, there's an important thing down here just below. It's called the Prescription for Additional Entertainment. These are content creators that I enjoy watching on a regular basis. I suggest them. I recommend them. So please stop off. And look, I even made a graphic here. So bang. There's my graphic. Coming up on Wednesday night, Thursday morning roll. We don't know how early we're going to start, but we're celebrating our late night show, the Insomnia Ramble stream. This is my joy and my passion has always been Doctor on Call, but I dearly love the Insomnia Ramble stream. It was created just for the purposes of people who couldn't sleep. And so we made a stream called the IRS. And now we're getting ready to celebrate our 200th episode. And for those of you who've ever been on the show, in 199 shows, we've had 152 guests. So we're going to go as long as people who have appeared on the show want to show up. We're also going to be doing a little club karaoke. And if you want to be there, you certainly can be. This is basically a celebration. People who don't have anything better to do at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard. Like I said, we might be starting a little bit earlier. It depends. But yeah, I'll be celebrating that with my co-host Kadant. Now, she will tell you that she doesn't deserve the 200 episode thing because she hadn't been there since the very start. Well, you know what? She wasn't there for the first 7 episodes, but the first 7 episodes were basically done on a Saturday when nobody else was streaming, and they were just the Ramble stream. But once nightfall hit, she has been an important component to it. So if you are of the mind, please feel free. Stop out and see us tomorrow. There will be drinking, there will be karaoke, and there will be as many people who wants to come on as possible or necessary. And
yeah, it's like the reason I'm not on there more often is because it's like Uzi gets home at 11 o'clock, and we eat dinner and then watch TV and then of course fall asleep, right?
Well,
yeah.
I recently got blown shit just because of the fact it's like, oh, well, who wants to go on there because it's 2 o'clock in the morning? And it's like, there's a reason why the word insomnia is in the title.
Right. Yeah, because I think it hits everybody, and it's nice to know that there's a place to go. And it's my sleep schedule may change. Shit, you never know. Just the way things are going right now, it sits up in the air. Yeah, my mom's real sick, and so I don't know how that's going to affect this shit. All right, and if it's taking care of my mom or doing this, I'm going to be taking care of my mom, y'all. So that's
well,
it's.
Well, it's just like I've told Kadant when she's like, "Oh man, I feel so bad because I'm going to miss it tonight," And I'm like, IRL, always greater than IRS. You take care of real life first. If you've got time for this, because I mean, honestly, and I don't know if you disagree with this or not, but once the adpocalypse hit, this basically YouTube has become more of a passion project for anybody than people trying to earn money.
I do it. I mean, it's like there's no money in it. I hate to break it. If you're new here and you think you can, man, go somewhere else. Fucking, I don't know. I don't know what to tell people. Shit, do it. Have fun. That's what I want to tell everybody. Have fun doing what you're doing. Don't compromise your fucking principles. If it's not funny to you, then don't do it. If I don't. That's the way I do. My standards are what I go by. Right. That's all I can go by. So, and I try to be as genuine as I can be. Because I don't want to. I'm kind of a character anyway, but I don't want to become a character. I don't want to play a character, and I can do that. I did the shit face Alex Jones thing. For a while, and I might bring him back. He kept looking at Uzi, man, and saying horrible shit to her when he was drunk. And he was staying on the couch, and we made him go to treatment. He had to go to treatment and get. Now he's going to meetings. He's got Jesus, and he's doing good. So right now.
Well, and personally, and I know people will conflict with this. There was a benefit that came out of the adpocalypse because it started driving out all the make-a-buck people. They were just like they lost their religion, so to speak, and kind of exited the platform. It's like good because there's a lot of really good content creators out there who are doing it because. They don't want the money. They want a voice. There's and we talked about this just briefly earlier. That ego feeds into what you're doing.
Well, the reason I started doing this really was was so I wouldn't fucking put a fucking 12 gauge in my mouth. I was getting stir crazy, man. I had about 9 years ago, I found out that I had to have both of my hips replaced because I had what's it called?
Good God, at the same necrosis.
Time? Vascular.
Oh.
Huh? Yeah. There's only two ways to get it. One's through alcoholism. The other one is through steroid abuse. So if you saw me, I'm not rocking the Roy's bra. So so I've got two titanium hips. I believe they're made by the Stryker industry. Thank you, Stryker. And then a couple years later, it was I was feeling weird. During football games and shit. I didn't know what was going on. And my in the back of my head, I said, you need to go to the doc. Anyway, so I went to the doc. He did an x-ray and he said he made up some bullshit because he knew what was going on. He said, I think you have what's called a tortuous aorta. And that only happens in old women and shit I read later. But, he knew I was, I knew what was going on. I know what the body does and shit. And so he said, I want you to get a CT scan with dye and see what's going on with there. And I had my aorta was twice the size it should have been. Yeah, I had an aneurysm coming out of my heart where the aorta is, right before it branches out into the little, 3 tree. and then it goes around and then goes back through your back, and then splits into your legs, into your femoral arteries. Yeah, and then my they realized exactly just like my dad, I had the bicuspid aortic valve instead of the normal tricuspid. Two of the valves were fused. This is a birth defect, very common. Yeah, and so when they replaced that, they went ahead and replaced that. So I've got a mechanical heart valve. I tick. If you listen to my heart, it would be like, that's what it sounds. It's kind of cool. Man, I wish I had that when I was dating. Damn, I could have got laid a lot back then. Just saying. It's hot.
So now
I'm not.
I know there's a lot of people who basically want their voice to be heard. YouTube is a great place for that to happen. Are you kind of looking at the work that you're doing as more like kind of a historical record, to where people can, actually, like if you get to your great grandkids, and they were like, well, what was Irate like? Well, here's the video.
The main reason that I decided to do this was because Uzi and I didn't have kids. That was another reason I wanted to do this thing. I wanted to leave some kind of a, record or thumbprint, at least, even a partial print of who I am. And so, and I guess if you look at what I'm doing, it's like, I think my personality comes out in everything that I do. There's a certain aspect of my personality. There's a part of me that loves people. There's part of me that loves people because this earth is so fucked up and funny, and people are so fucking fucked up and funny in it that it
well, honestly, I don't see any new car salesman in you. I think what you do is genuine, and we'll get into your shows in just a sec. But our first question comes from Jack T. Ripper, the serial killer. He says, Irate Prostate, what was the first book to make you cry?
The first book to make me cry?
That's what it says.
How to Go Bankrupt in 8 Easy Steps, I think. No, I'm kidding. This is a joke. What, a book that made me cry? Shit. I don't think anything that I've read has made me cry. I'm serious. No. I don't know. I don't get emotionally invested when I'm reading words, right? Or even like with comics. I'm a big I've got a huge collection of comics, and a huge comic freak. But I don't know. It seems like acting is what is the medium that I think touches me the deepest. And watching dance. Well,
I think I've had a
couple
of comics that made me semi-weepy. I mean,
yeah. Oh, fuck, man.
Well, make the eyes water, because I remember when Jean Grey actually committed suicide on the blue area of the moon in X-Men to save everybody else. I kind of missed it up on that because it was powerful.
Yeah, the Walking Dead number 193 was the last issue. It came out last Wednesday, and I wept. I actually wept because it was all over. It was supposed to go to 300 issues.
Let me ask you this, because there was a 7-page letter at the very end of the book. Was that more of Kirkman saying "fuck you, AMC"?
Basically, he's saying, he's tired of having his balls fucking squeezed for what, 9 years, He's done with it. I hope he starts a new book, and Negan is the main character or something based on him, because you could tell he loved writing Negan.
And the last thing he said at the end of that 7-page letter was, "Oh, and by the way, Negan lives."
Exactly. So it's like, when I saw that, I did grin a little bit. But seeing Carl read to his daughter and shit, that was really a beautiful way to end that series, man. And they've already killed Carl on the fucking TV series. Rick's disappeared. Michonne's gone. It's just going to be the Norman Reedus and the Carol that really didn't exist.
Well,
Carol.
I mean, they're gonna ride that horse until they die. They're still in court with not only one of the ex-showrunners, but with Frank Darabont, the guy who brought it to him.
Yeah, there's mixed feelings for Frank Darabont. I disagree with people that say that Gimple screwed shit up. I think Gimple tightened the show up and made it better. I think Darabont was telling a different story. I think he was trying to kind of adapt it a little bit and stretch out the tension, which is good. I mean, it was good drama, and the writing was good. John Bernthal is a fucking incredible actor. I mean, dude, did you see him in the second season of Daredevil as the Punisher? That debut, that was just my
Punisher
God,
is still my favorite series that Netflix did. Season 1.
I like the first year. I never finished the second season because he was with that chick, and I'm like, I don't know, what am I watching here?
Yeah,
where's Micro?
Season 2 was okay, but yeah, I mean, they basically brought the brutality in, and it was everything that the character was in the comic books, and people always will drag it out saying, "Oh no, the first season of a Daredevil," and I was like, not so much. You could see where they were stretching.
I'll tell you a good book to read is Narcissus and Goldman by Herman Hesse. See, I get into heady shit like that, of course, because of being an acid head. You wax philosophically if you know how to trip well.
We do have a Cupboard Cat asks, is there any film that truly has scared you or made you uneasy?
Oh, wow. Oh shit! What is that movie by Jesus? He did it was the Tombs of the Blind Dead. I'll look it up for a second here, because it was this one scene, man, in this movie, and it was this organ note. And it was the note itself. It was the sound that fucking terrified me. And I'm like a grown man going, what in the fuck? And I hadn't heard anything like it since. But every time that note, it's just creepy, man. I don't know what it is. It hit something like, deep in that brainstem, that's for sure. So, yeah. Just Jesus Franco.
And what was the name?
I think it's. I'll tell you. Yeah, he was a Spanish filmmaker, composer, and he did all of these semi porn. A lot of the reasons I watch this shit is because there's a shitload of nudity in it. Old school Bush and stuff, y'all. We don't need ass.
Because we didn't grow up with internet porn. We had magazines, so it doesn't take a lot.
No shit. Man, what's interesting, because I wanted to discuss this with somebody that kind of gets it. I was listening to a stream, and this was a while back. I think it was Brave and Ruin and Coach Red Pill and a couple of other younger guys. And Coach Red and Hugh Hefner had just died. And he started talking. Coach Redpill started talking about what a hero, and how guys looked up to him and stuff, and the younger dudes were like going, he sounds like a pimp to me, and he ended up going, yeah, kind of weird, It's like, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, he was a pimp, but I mean, basically he brought the acceptance of nudity, not just nudie cuties. And
yeah, and then film, started kind of getting more loose. Jesus Christ, this dude has done so much shit. All right, hold on. This is around in the mid 70s, early 80s. Let's see. Not as a writer. Irate. I almost said my real name.
Me?
Have you doxed yourself yet?
Yeah,
I did it.
Theoretically, it's out there if anybody ever, wanted to put the effort towards it. But
yeah, my first name is John. So if you can find me based on that, then God, I need your skill.
Anybody in my family that might have been vulnerable or susceptible or dead now. So don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free. I live in a place where if somebody calls up and orders multiple pizzas to be delivered to my house, the Domino's will call because they don't want to come down to this part of the neighborhood. And they'll call and go, hey, did you order like 15 pizzas? And it's like, yeah, no. Okay, just thought we'd call and ask.
Okay, I think the name of the movie is White Cannibal Queen. I could be mistaken.
Are we getting an echo again? I don't know.
Check 1, check 2. A lot of times on the audio on the night show, I kind of hear like them first, and then them again, right? But they're louder.
Yeah, I mean, like if we're overlapping. Then that's a problem. But if we're, if you can just kind of hear a little bit in the background, then I'm okay with that. By the way, Man Squanch asks, Ginger or Marianne?
Marianne all the way with Ginger's hair. How about that?
I think people who actually saw it, because like Gilligan's Island got canceled in the 60s, but they came back with a whole bunch of made-for-TV movies in the 70s. It was always Marianne.
Dude, well, I'm sure she's not that hot now, but I mean, she was like in her. And last time I saw her, she was in her 60s, and man, she looked fucking good.
Whereas Ginger looks kind of like Skeletor.
Yeah. Hollywood would do a number on a woman, man. I wouldn't want to be an actress, to be honest with you. I mean, Jesus, can you imagine the pressure and all the fucking unnecessary plastic surgery? These fucking plastic surgeons need to be fucking, I don't know, man. They're turning our women into fucking, horrible. And then the people with, dysmorphia.
Well, who was it? Meg Ryan.
It's like,
got plastic surgery done. I'm like, what did they do to you?
Dude, yeah, it was horrible. She don't even look like herself. Fucking, what's her name? The Gray, Joel Gray's daughter.
Oh yeah, she finally got her nose fixed,
man. When she got her nose fixed, yeah, Jennifer Gray. Once she got her nose fixed, man, nobody.
Yeah,
I didn't know who she was.
You got to have those imperfections to make you stand out. Because a Barbie doll is just that. It's a doll. It's not real.
Yeah, and I give all the guys, if you like, you want to know if a woman's breasts are real or not, one's going to be bigger than the other, and they even might be a little lopsided. That's how I know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always
I've
ask
got a
them,
thing
but
for
you know,
symmetry. That's
they could lie.
you could just say, "Are those real, honey? Can I feel them?" No,
Okay,
sir, you may not.
I'm trying to find. Just scrolling down. Brad Young asks if you could go back and tell your 16-year-old self anything, what would you say to him?
I would say to him, learn how to play guitar well. And because I had a couple opportunities there, and get a practical degree, something you can, something in the business, because it's like I had nothing. It's like, okay, I got a degree in sculpture. Who needs a sculptor? But I was actually did pretty good in the shows I was in always. The local critic here really liked my work. So I was able to sell some stuff, but I'll put every bit of that shit up my nose. I put a fucking Volkswagen and maybe a couple of Strats up my nose.
I think personally, I just tell my 16-year-old self to either find a nice spot where nobody would dig up a strong box, and bury that with a bunch of drugs that his 50-plus-year-old self is going to need later.
Yeah, I might tell myself to like, hey, look, everybody's faking it. That may be the wisest thing I could have told myself back then. If I'd have known that, there would be some differences here. But I would, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be such an asshole.
Well, yeah, but as young kids, we're kind of impulsive anyway, and usually it takes a large 2x4 of reality to kind of knock us back into line. So I don't think we're necessarily going to escape that. Melissa asks, where did you see or find a Playboy magazine for your first time?
Damn. This dude that was in my neighborhood, he had a penthouse. And so it was like, oh, wow. This thing is doing shit to me. I remember I don't know, the first time I was sexually excited and I realized that something was going on was when I was a small kid and I was at the drive-in and we were watching a movie called Rosemary's Baby. And there's a scene where she's naked and I reacted to it. And I had no idea what the fuck was going on until I was 12 and that guy shows me the penthouse. I'm like, and I kind of like, started spending a lot of time alone.
I remember like one of the first magazines that I had. It was my dad's magazine, and it was one called Silk Stockings. And the weird thing about it was one of the girls that was featured in it was Nichelle Nichols. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
And she was hot.
Cool. Yeah, no doubt, man. Full figured.
Well, I'm glad Martin Luther King Jr. didn't get a hold of her until after she did the photo shoot.
Dude.
Oh, he was the one who encouraged her to stay on Star Trek.
Oh, wow. See, you learn something new every day. I did not know
let me see here. I'll keep scrolling down. And I did want to make sure and ask about.
Oh, something I do want to tell everybody. I did want to be a makeup artist. all right, for a long period of time, from like when I was in my teens to like in my early, I guess till I was 18 or 19. And then I realized I couldn't go to makeup school, you know. Then that's where the sculpture came in. So that's always been in my.
I enjoyed the hell out of it when I went to school. We had a makeup class, and my favorite thing was I did the makeup on myself to look like a Japanese feudal warlord, and I made myself like look Asian with the knot top and everything. Yeah, makeup's fun. It's not as gay as people may think.
Yeah, I had the old Dick Smith, Famous Monsters of Filmland makeup book. You know, using stuff from around the house to do makeup and stuff. And I built out of it from that. You know, I followed Dick Smith, who of course was the mentor for Rick Baker, and then at that point in time, you get Tom Savini joins the scene. You know, so I could talk about that shit for fucking, you know, God, what's the guy
Rob
that did
Bottin,
the thing?
yeah.
Bottin, Rob Bottin. He also the Wolfen, you know. There was some fucking fantastic shit going on.
And this is something that I always want to ask too, because your static avatar is Lon Chaney. I've always been a fan of Lon Chaney, but particularly, why did you choose him and that character?
Okay, whoops, wrong one. Wrong one. This specific character I chose because there's not a print of it available to watch. I've seen all the horror classics, man. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis, a lot of the silent, great ones. I haven't seen any of the Chaney stuff because I wanted to see the. I've seen. Sorry about that. The Family Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and there was something else that he did that I haven't seen that I wanted to see, and then London After Midnight because of the Famous Monsters magazines. That was part of my comic haul when I was a kid, when I was younger. And when I wasn't jacking off, I was reading comics or Famous Monsters, or putting makeup on or, painting my face.
Well, with, plus he did some amazing things. This was what, the late 20s, early 30s. And everything he did was practical. I mean, he would build upon his own face with like sculpting clay.
If you look at some of the photographs of the London After Midnight character, you can tell it's he's put some kind of mask over his own mask, and he's got glass discs holding his eyes open to where they look more bugged out, right? And he would use he had a wire implant for the grin, right? So that would pull his mouth. Kind of like the Nicholson thing, but it was the Nicholson thing was a lot more based in the medium,
and even closer to that, it's like what they did to Mr. Ed. They would strap hooks around the horse's mouth and pull it back.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and this was shit he was figuring out. Almost 100 years ago.
Yeah. He was way ahead of his time. And he plays 3 characters in that movie too, London After Midnight. I would love to see that because the character's a vampire. Mm-hmm. People think it's about Jack the Ripper, but it's a vampire story. And the character that my avatar is, he's a professor that disappears. His house is empty for years. And then all of a sudden he shows up, and he's a vampire. It's kind of like a twist on the Dracula, I think. They just modified it.
Yeah,
I'm
because
sure
I'll be honest with you, the
then.
only thing I've seen is about 20 minutes of it. That was done in like here's a Lon Chaney's greatest hits kind of deal. I've never seen the full film.
Yeah, there's a couple of shots with him pulling that lamp up. Then I've got that as a GIF. But I haven't seen any other live shots. It's like when I try to look for it, I just haven't been able to find any. So
yeah, I was going to say
cool.
the most I've ever seen, most of it looked like establishing shots.
Right.
Yeah.
Or promo shots, for the cards. Because they would do with those 5x7 cards as part of the promotional for the theater owner. The little press kit. I guess that's what it was. I've seen a lot of copies of stuff like from the Black Lagoon. Clint Eastwood's first movie.
I'll send you this because I am curious. I always liked Lon Chaney stuff. I like Lon Chaney Jr. stuff. But here's like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
I put it in the group chat thing. I guess I could share it with.
Oh.
I guess I could share it with other people.
Is this the one with the stills? Is this the one with the
this
stills?
Is. I think it's the title card, and I think it's.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely seen this a couple of times. There's a couple of the shots that I was trying to get my avatar from, I took from this thing. I did like the way the guy did this. This is another guy. Maybe this is him. Is he Spanish?
I don't know. His username is 210015 Allen.
Yeah, I see. This is actual frames survived from the. See, and that's the big problem with celluloid. Film is that it is so fucking volatile and flammable, man. I've seen the. Have you seen the remastered Caligari yet?
Well, I've seen it online, but watching it through a computer screen doesn't really help.
It's cool, man. It's really cool. I've got this way I can like send it to my television now. Or I can put it on a USB and plug it on my TV. But yeah, I love looking at old movies and that's part of my deal. That famous Monsters of Filmland thing, Forrest Ackerman. So I was real big about that, and that's where I learned about Rick Baker. When he was a kid, he was being featured in the magazine, and of course, Forrest Ackerman gives his entire mansion and collection over to Guillermo del Toro.
That was a good move, though.
Did you know that?
Because Guillermo is, I mean, if he's not like the number one living Cthulhu
he was just
fan,
a poor Mexican kid, man.
and I mean everything that he did for, because he ran like a traveling show of his Cthulian artifacts to major towns, to major cities.
Sweet.
And shared that with everybody that he could, because he's been trying to make At the Mountains of Madness for about 20 years now.
Yeah, I know. And it's not going to happen. The closest thing are some of the games that are out. I recommend Canarium, dude. You will go, holy fuck. At a certain point, you're going, what am I doing here? Right? And then this one thing happens, you go, oh my God. And then you realize that you're dealing with the same species that's in the Mountain of
literally
Madness.
Hollywood believes that the viewership is not into slow burn horror. And that's all that H.P. Lovecraft is slow burn horror.
Well, I mean, look at Hellboy, the first Hellboy, man. I mean that was basically a Lovecraft.
Oh yeah. He snuck in. He snuck in the Cthulhian reference with the old gods.
All this. Yeah, he did, man.
Now, I do want to make sure that we're covered before I jump in and fulfill myself here. Now, how did you get to the point where you not only run one stream, but you run 4 different shows? Which one was the first, and what brought you to doing these additional shows?
Okay, well, I talked about the thing about the outsiders, right? And I talked about the little hobby thing, which only went 4 episodes. So, but I may end up going back to that at some point because that hobby is starting to gnaw at me, and I've got a lot of stuff I've got to sell. So the first one is the cream stream. I kind of told the how that thing was born. Not long after that, I met Big Fat Brian. We would hang out and goof off in the server. The dude is insane, and he's a good guy. We've got a lot in common. And we disagree about shit. And we kind of argue with each other.
I enjoy it. I tune into it.
It is for everybody. Yeah, we're doing Exhibit A tomorrow night, so it's kind of like a
he did a better job discussing Black Mirror than I did. I think so.
Oh yeah, there was huge. Oh my God, that Miley Cyrus thing. I like the whole idea of approaching like a caper kind of thing, and the doll didn't bother me. What bothered me was Miley Cyrus.
I thought they broke away from the traditional standard of, hey, let's make this like Outer Limits. Let's make this like Twilight Zone, and it was more like, hey, let's make a vehicle for Miley Cyrus.
Right, it was more like it was not so Black Mirror.
Oh yeah,
it was kind of like a beige.
I'll agree. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because it seemed a little bit too tongue in cheek. So, I mean, nothing like White Bear. I mean, White Bear was a motherfucker.
Yeah,
I like Smithereens too.
I thought Smithereens was good. Man, that dude was great. That actor is very talented, and he really fucking riveted that part. I mean, just that was a true story. I think that was a true episode of Black Mirror. I'm kind of a purist about that kind of shit too. I kind of agree about that. And then the other thing was like, oh my God, I guess it could be a Black Mirror thing, but
Well, I do have to break in,
really?
And we'll get back to this narrative, but Goatman has asked, if it's not too personal, how did you and Uzi meet? He wants romance. Goatman wants some romance.
Oh, wow. Uzi Q and I met at a library, of all places. She had beautiful hair. She was in college. I was working. We started writing each other, and I've still got all the letters. I did keep those, and she kept hers too. So we both got all of our letters and shit to each other. Oh my God! If you try to read them now, it's like, oh Jesus, it's so embarrassing. But yeah, so and then there was a reason that because of a certain situation, the people at work said, it's like, you can't date this girl because of this, and this. And I was like, okay, I understand it. It was a professional thing. But it was due to a really loose association. And so we became better and better friends. And she started dating this other guy, and it started pissing me off. And I didn't know why. And he was, oh my God. Anyway, I hope he's doing okay. I hope he's all right. Just say
well, yeah, because you won.
Yeah, he was a kook. He was a weird dude. Well, yeah, I did, and I'm more than grateful because it's she's been my saving grace. So at some point, I talked to actually a good boss that actually had my back. He was a good guy. And I said, man, I'd like to see more of this girl, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know what? I can see I'll have a cup of coffee. Wink, wink. He winked at me. And I said, okay. And so not long after that, the first thing, I invited her over to watch
this
movie called
Rocketeer. Dave Stevens was a damn good artist.
Mm-hmm. And then after the movie, we were talking, and I had on MTV, and Wicked Game by Isaac, Chris Isaacs was playing, right? And that was our first kiss.
You swab bastard, you.
And man, it just happened. You know what I'm saying? And so
how long?
We started dating. We were seeing each other. She was still in school, and I would wait, and she would come back. And then I was living in this apartment. She was living in town, and she was visiting and crying. She'd stay the weekend and then cry and have to go back home. It was, and then I said, fuck it. I was talking to a therapist about it. I've been working through some shit. And the therapist says, because I wanted to move in with her, with Uzi. And she said, well, why don't you just marry her? And I went, that's not a bad idea. And I started thinking about it. And because it's like, I don't know how people, I can explain this to people, but when you're with the one, that kind of like, just kind of plugs in, even the weird parts, it's like a good fit, emotionally, intellectually, somebody that'll put up with your bullshit. Those are few and far between and hard, somebody asked if I had any regrets earlier, and I did want to make an amends. I had 2 chances to make amends with the former guitar player of that band that I was in. And every time that I had those opportunities, I fucking was terrified and chickened out.
So,
it was a
how
great
many
mistake.
years do you have on the relationship with Uzi?
Oh shit!
Because you were saying, well, you can say roughly. Come on, we're guys. You can say approximately.
No, it's not that. It's not the age. It's just like I'm trying to remember. All right, hold on.
Please stand by while we boomers count.
26 minutes. 26 years. 26.
Yeah,
minutes.
I've been with wifey for a little over 10, and I still don't know why she puts up with me.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, for fuck's sake, man. And she got me through all the stuff with the physical stuff, wiping my ass. I mean, doing all that horrible shit. And she's the best. She's the best part of me.
That's she was wifey was the one who was just like, stop fucking moping around the house. You can't draw anymore. So just you used to be a DJ. You used to host a fucking radio show. Go online. Do that there. And it's so funny because they are a good partner is a window to your clarity. They're besides yourself, they're the ones that can cut through your bullshit.
Absolutely. And we have this weird communication thing. It's almost like when we were early in our marriage, we had set these really weird rules for our relationships. Like if we say like, all right, we've been apart and I come home to her or she comes home to me, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, right? We can go time out, all right, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll do what's called reboot, and then we'll say, all right, what just happened didn't happen, boom, and then we'll start all over again. It's kind of a funny little ritual.
Well,
but
yeah, it's tough to find somebody,
you know,
who can, where you can share a groove. That's the amazement that I always find, but then again, I figured out she was right for me, because when we did Big Spoon to Little Spoon, she just kind of fit, and I'm like, hey, the spooning thing works out. This could be something.
Well, and when I did my alcoholism thing, when I was back drinking and stuff, man, there was a huge moment where we had to say, okay, do we want to end this or not? And I had to come to a point of where I was willing to do that, right? Before I could come at peace with what was going on within me and what I needed to do.
So you'd say
to finish
you'd say that Uzi was your inspiration to clean it up? Life.
No, I said we were talking, and I just said, all right, it's time to shut it, get off the pot. If you want to get a divorce, we can do that. I'm totally at peace with it. I said what I think. What I'm hearing from you is not you; it's somebody else, and I was right. She was kind of rehearsing. She had rehearsed something, and she called me back and she said, "You know what, man? Fuck that shit. Yeah, I miss you." And we cried and shit, and and we started.
Yeah, I think Jerry Maguire ruined it for quite a few people, making it hokey with the "you complete me" thing. But there are people out there that you can love, and you don't have a partnership with them. I think that's the thing, especially when you get to be old people like us. Legitimately, it's one of those. Does this person have my back? Do they become the yin to my yang? And
right.
I mean, I know we tried to get her on to be your nursey, but of course she's working. Yeah. So, but she always has an open invite. I love Uzi to death. She's a sweetheart.
Hey, Sheila's watching your stuff too. So it's mutual. She's weird, and shy, and I'm weird in some ways, so, I get her.
Yeah,
she's
but
awesome. Hey, Ortiz,
once again, it's one of those things where you're in rarefied air if you find somebody who's in the same groove that you're in.
Yeah, and I don't understand why it's so easy for people just to say divorce, because I really think that's kind of taking the chicken way out. Because I think a good relationship requires work and communication. It's when the communication broke down is when when we started having problems, right? And it wasn't like it was like for 3 or 4 years. This was like for a 6 to 8 month period, right? And so, and it was mostly my fault, man. I was not an active alcoholic. I'll put it that way. I would get drunk and pass out. I was drinking an 18-pack of Bud Light a day, with a shot of R&R every other sip.
I'm not going to lie. In the early part of our relationship, there'd be points when we'd come home from the bar, and I'd be so drunk I couldn't make it to the door, and I'd wake up in the morning in the driveway, and she'd just be standing there going, "See, dumbass." So yeah, I'm okay with that, because you got to let somebody in to be able to trust with your flaws. It's a reflective thing. Don't worry, all you guys out there in the chat who are in your 20s and 30s, you'll get there if you're not there yet. So you decided to branch out and do multiple shows. Do you now? I hate to say this, but it's one of those. Can you pick your favorite kid?
Right now, man, the interview shows what's really pushing myself. I'm having a ball with Creamstream too, and man, Hot Takes is fun because I love hanging with Brian. So every bit of it has its own draw. Friday night, I'm with the Tim of the Hun, Trippy Poop, and fucking Full Metal Pickle. Okay, you can't ask for a better lineup than that. I mean, it's not going to be boring. And then recently, we've been starting to have kind of having these rotating, exhibits or people sitting in the role. I stole that from the Minions at the Zoo. Excuse me, but yeah. So the traveling exhibit, or I was calling it spin the barrel and put a new bullet in, right? But now it looks like we got a clip. So.
That's okay. You always want to keep your shows lively and fresh, and sometimes it takes a rotation of the cast.
Yeah. Well, and what I had to do was recently it went from just a solid talk about the news and touch on politics stuff to being half news, goofy. I want to be the Weekly World News for YouTube, right? Which is half is written news, and it's usually read by news. It's written by read by Tema, and then we all kind of talk about it. And then for the second half of the show, I run these videos and clips and shit that I found recently, or or that day or that week. It's always kinky, weird shit because that's me.
And that's the thing. If you try to homogenize yourself. If you try to make yourself applicable to all viewers, you eventually make yourself applicable to none.
Yeah, and somebody wise once said, people don't know what they want until you give it to them, and that kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think that's the way to have unique stuff or to have a unique show is to be you. The format may not be as unique, but the show is always going to be unique. It's like you've got a completely different interview style than I do, but we're sitting here.
I enjoy it because
it's really cool.
And I'll be honest to not only you but the chat, but I listen to what you do, and sometimes we have the same guests within like 2-3 weeks.
Vice versa.
And the stuff that you ask is relevant to the person that's on there, and it is a bit different. I mean, we're basically getting people to talk about themselves, and somebody explained it to me. I think it might have been Rakist who said that I like when you and Irate do interviews because they're like companion pieces to each other.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's the whole. That's why this all works, and we're not at each other's throats. Because I think you've got more of a writer-esque type approach. It's a lot of times it seems like to me like you're interviewing somebody for a magazine piece, right, or for an article, and I really like that. It's just mine is I don't know, man. The way I came up with it, I just it's like just It's really more like just, stoner talk, sitting around shooting the shit, finding out, and then there's personality stuff in there. There's stuff that I've, kind of set up for certain situations. And if those situations develop, we can go there, and stuff. And so if it wants to get deep and heavy, it can. It was like the first one was with Chris Worski, really. And I got him on Thanksgiving Day, year before last. I guess it was 2017.
I honestly have talked to Chris recently, and I'm just like, listen, dude, I know you don't want to talk about any of this shit that's going down, but I really like what you're doing on your channel now. Yeah.
He's doing great shit now. And see, then that's something that he and I have in common is that we both worked in, the site business. So we had that's really what that whole interview is me and him talking about our experiences working in that business, and that's kind of like I didn't want to get into that here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like there's 2 hours of that.
Yeah, because Irate's link's down there. The interview's still up. Go check it out.
There's some fun stuff. Fucking Drunken Uncle. Oh my God, that dude is crazy.
Gutenberg
is a good guy.
I would like to sit back and talk with Drunken Uncle, but I think that would devolve rather quickly.
Oh, it does. It did. It was just fun. He was just crazy. He's crazy as hell. And I don't know. It's just
okay. So
it's just fun.
Interviewer to interviewer. Who are your top 5 gets? Who would you really like to get on your show to just crack open that skull?
Sugar tits.
I've tried both of them. Irate. I've tried them both, and you cannot get the bears. Either way, I've got their email address.
I had them on the cream stream one night. I've occasionally Sugar Tits will answer my DMs on Twitter. She's awesome, but anyway, she's one that I'm still just
and she's a cutie too.
Shit. Yeah, and it's like I've got this. It's really I've been trying to book male, female, male, female, male, female, and I don't want to have any reproductions until I hit show 100, right? And then maybe what I'm thinking is having this person here back, and then a couple of interviews, and kind of do some kind of like where they're at now, kind of like what you did with AP, right? And so that's kind of the game plan. And finding women, there's all these women that I asked, and I'm sure they're thinking, God, this pervert won't leave me alone. It's like, just hang out with me for an hour.
I'm still in talks with Christy Winters.
Whatever you want to talk about.
I want to, and I said, listen, this is not a sabotage.
You're right, man. It's like because there's a couple of people that are I consider on that side that would be interesting to talk to. So, and I've got some people that are kind of controversial. People get polarized when it comes to the way that people approach, especially fucking politics, man. I'm so fucking over this polarized horseshit, but apparently it's gotta just
there's some people that I have offered interviews to. There are people. I invite everybody onto the IRS if they want to come on and they just want to treat it like a bar atmosphere. Everybody sit back, shoot the shit, tell stories. Fine, that's good. But when it comes to Doctor on Call, it's interesting people who do interesting things, and I've sent out on both sides. I've been accused of being far too right, and I'm like, that's not for my lack of asking, because I don't feel that your politics automatically disqualify you from being an interesting person.
Well, and that's the point is that if politics comes up, I can discuss it with somebody without really taking, without expressing my personal opinion. I might say, oh, there's some shit that fucking pisses me off. And I'm going to say that fucking pisses me off. Right. But, I try to stay as neutral as I can. But,
I've been dealing with Uwe Boll's manager. And he's like, well, that's what he does. He talks politics. And I was like, I want to talk him. If politics comes up, that's fine, but I don't want this to be a platform. Yeah.
Who does he think he's Werner Herzog?
If you watched any of his vlogs, and I'm with him on some of his political points. Like I totally believe in a meritocracy. That if you're the best person for the job, you get the job. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. And he's just like, well, he'll want to come on and talk politics. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. Here's where I stand. If he's cool with this, I'll book him. He can come on. But if he just wants to use this particularly to just, platform like the fucking triumph of the will. Sorry, I'm not there. I'm not here for you. I want to talk to the person. I don't want to talk to the ideology. I mean, I've invited Sargon on, and that was kind of a thing. Well, I'm doing political things right now, and I'm like, all right, fine, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? But I think, fucking Jerry Casale, man, that was a great interview. People don't understand how important Devo was.
Dude.
Is.
And I'm sure you get this. He came on and I had no idea. I had no clue that he was there for the Kent State riot.
Yeah, man. And so, who else was? Chrissy Hind. She was a freshman that year.
Yeah.
And Nick Saban, the coach at Alabama right now. Yeah, the football coach. They were all there that day.
I mean, I'm glad that I don't have a camera on me because my jaw literally dropped when he was talking about how he could hear the bullets going past his head. That's amazing. And when we got off stream, the one thing he said was, he was like, thank you. And I'm like, why are you thanking me, man? That was an awesome interview. He's like, that was the first time I'd ever gotten to tell my story about Kent State full length. And nobody edited me and nobody put me into a sound bite. And he's like, we have to do a second show. And I'm like, I'm not going to say no to you.
Yeah.
I mean,
no shit, man.
Now, so you gave me one person. Can you give me another, or at least two more? Yeah.
Did you say 5? Oh shit. Right now, see, what I do is I kind of like. I kind of want to travel like in not in circles, but in like certain there's certain people that associate with each other, right? And I'm trying to branch out and kind of get out of my comfort zone and come up with some different people. So it's like I did that Shat Morit. She was awesome. I would like to hit Scribe Light because he's one of the few people I haven't done. Let's see. Sinatra Says. Let's see. If Romy Millennial would be a dream because she's just because she was really the reason why.
Well, I don't want to sound like a dick, but have you have you sent feelers out to her?
That's 5, isn't it? Not yet. No. I wanted to make sure I was comfortable with it, because I was the first 40 episodes are me kind of feeling out, what I wanted it to look like, right? and as I've seen with the cream stream, I know that that's going to change. It won't change drastically,
Well, it
but
has
it'll
to.
mutate. And so, yeah, and so there's a certain level I want to reach in myself, comfort wise, before I start asking these upper tier people, what I consider upper tier people, because it's like they're busy, and that's why I call it. I'm saying that because there's a high demand. They're a lot more accessible, to the public. So that, they've got a lot more shit they've got to do.
I remember one of our first interactions. You were like, you'd asked, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. You said, hey, take a look at these interviews and tell me what you think. And the first thing I wrote back was like, I don't know why you're asking me, because you've got this.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's like, they're fun to do. It's like this one, man. It's going fast. It goes fast. When when it's a good one. And then, of course, you've had the
Gary fucking Busey. Jesus Christ. Jesus.
I heard about that, man. Oh, I got to get. All right, so we'll save that from my show. How about that?
Okay,
Gary Busey story.
Yeah, that's good. God.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think you've got it because of the fact that when people come on, there's not a lot of hemming and hawing. They automatically seem comfortable with you, and that is the number one talent of a good interviewer. Is basically letting people feel like they can talk about whatever they want to talk about in whatever style and whatever speed. And I never have the feeling when I watch you that you're rushing anybody, that you're like, oh, I'm just asking this question to load it up to get to this question.
Yeah. Sometimes, it looks like I'm kind of meandering, but there's a, kind of a method to the madness. And there's really a core of questions I get to, and then I come out of it, and then we wrap, right? That's kind of like, if there's a formula to it, that's kind of what I do. I will pull out your endocrine system.
Wikipedia, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry. I just saw that in the...
But...
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, automatically the first time that, the first interview that I heard was the one you were doing with Harley. And I'll admit, I didn't like the person, but I did like the way that you were laying it down, because it made her more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, we got into the funerary science stuff, man, and that's where that's kind of like whoa, because she and she was part of the cream stream for a while, and then all that stuff.
Well, and I'll definitely ask this because you've had a rotating cast when it comes to cream stream, and I don't want to get into any of the politics or any of the drama, but. Do you see when like the roadblocks are coming up? Can you tell when there's people like, oh, okay, I think we need to rotate them out? And this is not naming any names. That doesn't make a difference.
Well, see, there's a dramatic difference between the way that I'm dealing with shit, to be honest. Yeah. Now than when I first started doing this. I was way too, it's like that back in the day, I was reliving my old school stuff from communications class, no dead air, blah, 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 professionalism, show up on time, stuff that I was willing to do, but I expected it of other people, which is kind of a bullshit game to play.
Oh, sure.
If I'm honest with myself. And so I was a dick when the cream stream was really officially mine, and it was like it was a weekly thing that I was trying to make happen, right? And so I was, I wasn't I made some decisions about changing people out that probably hurt some people, and I probably did it in a ham-handed way, but pretty much everything that's happened has been a minute. People have left, they just quit coming or something, and I can deal with that. So there's the voluntary and involuntary changes. And this thing's got a life of its own right now, and I really like the pickle trippy Tim combo, and then we've been throwing Prospero on with her, and her and Tim are like fucking Panzer division. They'll fucking tear through anything. It's really cool. This new girl named Cattigat. I'm going to be doing some stuff with her and Cynical Lindsay on Cynical Lindsay's page. More about talking about TV series like The Terror, season 2 coming up, things like that. So I'm going to take I'm going to be playing like an away game there. It's going to be fun. I don't only do home gigs, people, like some people.
But
you know what I'm saying? I had to, man.
Sorry. I mean, I think you had a rather eclectic cast going in and out, and of course, finding people to interview. I've kind of always referred to YouTube as it's one big city, but there are shit tons of stories from the neighborhoods, and if you don't go into those neighborhoods, you'll never find them.
Yeah, and I try not to get really too attached to people. I think that's something that people mistake on this thing. It's like, because I don't think everybody on the interwebs can be a friend. So it's like if I do have a group of people that I consider really close friends, it's small, and I think Blonde Press's husband Piccolo said it the best. He says he says we're all at a bar, and and we all like it's like the whoever's running the show is the bartender or the host of the party, whatever.
I don't look at people
like
they're like it's an expiration date on a milk carton. But I do know that there is time when they have to go, when they have to just move.
Right. And I think it's important. See, on like the Cream Stream, that's why we kind of wanted to do this little rotation thing with these new folks, right? Is to kind of keep some freshness to it, because you need a little new blood, need a little different perspective, to help with the stuff, man. Because it's there's a certain comic element to it that can't be ignored, and if the formula's right and the bants are fast and stuff, it can be pretty fucking, sweet. I think the Cream Stream looks the best it's ever looked right now. Yeah, and I would stake my reputation on it. So I'm real happy with what's going on. I've been thinking about doing new OBS backgrounds. I'm kind of, I think I've worn out everything that I've got, so I've got to come up with something. I'm going to try to maybe go just completely sideways, maybe for one of the shows. I don't know.
Well,
so
and we're both of similar age, and I want your basic take on this, because once again, this is not about naming names. This is not about the drama, but I know both you and I are inevitably, people are trying to take that. That hook and pull us into a different drama. How are you personally able to avoid it?
It's just I don't know. After the drama that I went through last year, and I'm still going through to some degree right today. Which is
that's a never-ending story.
Fucking stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I just like, man, whatever. People. Just because the music's playing, don't mean I have to get
there's a
up and
lot of
dance
people
to it.
out there who think, oh, if
You
you
know?
don't respond to this, then you're weak. It's like, no, I don't feel like wasting my energy. Hey, people out in the chat, you should already know the fact that since we're of older age, close to the boomerism, we don't have a lot of time left. So there.
Well, and there's a certain futility to some of these interactions because it's like if somebody don't like you, they're not going to like you, and you just have to say, well, fuck them.
I mean, because
and
I
move
know
on.
there's been.
You know, you're right though. Life is short, man. This shit is short, man. It's like my mom. Boom, we turn a corner, and she's sick as hell. So,
By the way,
we
Trippy's
got
being a
shit to
wise
do
ass in the chat,
before we go.
asking how many houses do you own?
Actually, I've owned 3. But right now, Uzi and I are living in an apartment complex, trying to put a little bit of money together, maybe get another one. Part of the deal with the alcoholism is that we did go bankrupt, but was able to get out what I had put in the house. The last house that we lived in, there's we call that the hell house because there's some fucked up shit. We've been calling that. I mean, for since we left it. Okay, dude. But there was some weird shit that happened in that house, and it was just maybe just the energy. I don't know. But when we moved out, the lady next door went blind.
What?
Just yeah.
That's weird.
She fucking went blind. Yeah, it was weird. When we moved in, the guy next door had just had been in this fire in the kitchen of that house.
Yeah.
Not my house, the one next to it, right? And his arms were all wrapped up. And they moved. They were really weird and real quiet. And then, so these and I moved in, some weird shit started happening, and then we moved out. Boom.
Wow.
Back next door. I don't know, man.
So,
yeah, it's weird.
I do want to say that it's not that we're overtime, but I want to make sure and shield down into the descriptor. Irate's Twitter and YouTube are down there. So if you don't know him and want to get to know him, right there's your gateway. There's your access. And now I do want to make sure, because there are people listening here who are budding streamers, who are people who want to put that content out there, that they want to, get their voice heard, be known, maybe feed the ego a little bit. But what are the, let's go with 3 basic lessons that you learned from YouTube.
Okay, it's kind of like being in a band. Okay. Imitate the people that you like, be yourself, and bust ass and kick rock and roll. I work at this all the time. I've been getting videos all day. I've been looking at videos all day. Got a new opening instead of the timer and music. I got something new. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I know everybody's like, what the fuck, but. At least
I'll be honest. I have not worked that much on my visuals because of that update with OBS that screwed everything into the ground.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The old OBS, I really had difficulty working with it. But for some reason, slobs took some of the idiot work out of it, and it made it a lot more easier for me to work with. And a lot of people diss on it and shit. I love it. I love Streamlabs because it's all tied together. And if somebody throws a dono, I can open it and see it, right when it happens, and I can thank them, just from my OBS screen. There's little things I can click at top and go.
Well,
and it goes to that
somebody
page, right on Streamlabs.
Somebody who's not necessarily really invested, but wants to see me do well, literally made a personal OBS Streamlabs instructional video for me, and that's brilliant, because I think that's my biggest indicator that people still want me to keep going. And I mean, YouTube is kind of an ego feeder, but it's more of, you're hoping that what you're doing for your own personal benefit is having benefits to the people that are actually watching. And I mean, if there's one basic warning that you could throw out to any aspiring YouTuber, or ground level starting YouTuber, what would that be?
Every sub is sacred. That just came into my mind, like every sperm is sacred. The people that subscribe to my channel are the reason that I do this. And if I were a subscriber to my channel, I would expect the best to come out, and so I give what I expect. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just like, it's do everything to your standards. Do you? That's the best thing you can do, is just do you and have fun. And if it's not fun, and if it becomes laborious and shit,
yeah, I had a recent conversation with another YouTuber, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're in this for the subs, you're in this for the likes." And I'm like, no, as I've stated from day one, this is something that helps maintain my sanity. That, I'm doing this regardless if there's going to be 2,000 or 2,000 people watching. I'm doing this because I like doing this, and I think that may be a difficult thing as far as it goes with the generations. I mean, I know we talked a little bit behind the scenes about, this is something that you're doing because you can. It's kind of a stabilizer. It's one of those, if I can't get out to actually socialize with people, I can do it here.
Right. Yeah, and and it's like and not to be like a whining bitch or anything, but it's like I have chronic pain issues, and so it's like it helps me get out of my head, either just to talk to people or to be laugh. I love to laugh. I guess you could kind of it's like, when you hear me laugh, I'm really laughing. Uzi she loves it when I laugh, because
I would say from our generation, and I think I've cliched this now, that our generation refused to be labeled, and the generations after demand to be diagnosed. It's not necessarily what's wrong with you that motivates you. It is basically in spite of. I know Joke talks about that too, and he's the only person that kind of pops to mind that's relative age with us.
Yeah, well, you realize that everybody's damaged to some degree. Right, and it's just, what, man? It's just fucking flaunt that damage. God damn it! It's like Big Fat Brian. He changed his name to Big Fat Brian, which YouTube made him.
Yeah, it was derogatory
because fat was in it. By the way, but, whatever. It was whatever. But it's like, own it, own that flaw. Because everybody's got everybody.
It's a facet of you, but it's not what defines you. And if it is, then that's something that you really need to step back and take a look at. Now, I didn't notice any additional questions from the chat. Now, we're already at the 10:30 hour on my time. And I know that you've been generous with your time. I don't know how much longer that you want to go, but I'm doing the easy out if you want to wrap.
Yeah, we can wrap now. It's like I thought I would go an hour and a half, man, and I just like I maxed out on that by an hour, and that's really cool. I was in a really bad place emotionally earlier, and so I appreciate you. First of all, dealing with me before the show and everything, man, and just helping me feel comfortable.
Dude, that's just life. And it's nothing but a thing. I just had my parents last year. Both of them die in the same year, so I can understand the harshness, and
it's horrible.
That's what makes people like yourself a great interview. Because you're persevering. It's not sweeping it off to the side, but it's being able to not let that consume you and take over everything. And that's a tough skill.
Right.
That is a hard thing to do. And I certainly appreciate the time. Now, I do normally finish up by talking about the acronym, which is that you have to be able to flex your pec, which is to be able to have passion for what you do. That's the P. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to cough in the mic. The E is you have to have effort. You have to make the effort to do it. And then the C is you have to be committed to see it all the way through. Now, is there any way that you can apply that to what you do on the YouTubes?
I think that's really the really nice, concise way to put it. It's just a good work ethic, man. Just do the damn thing, do it to the best of your ability, and have fun doing it. And if you can't do any one of those, then
because money is definitely not a motivating factor.
It's not. No, it didn't. It's wonderful to have, nice people, just, throw me money, $30 here, $50 there, $5, $4.20, wink, wink, $1.99, man, 50 cents would be, it's awesome to be thought of, that somebody would go out of their time, take their time and, and just do that.
Yeah, I'm honest.
Little gesture right there.
I won't refuse anybody who throws a dono at me. But the important part is, were you entertained for those couple of hours? Did you basically, were you in a rut? Were you feeling down? Was this something that kind of picked you up or helped you move along? Or even with the case of IRS, put you to sleep.
Exactly.
We're completely okay with that. By the way, I do want to mention too.
That's right.
Trippy did bring up that Full Metal Pickle, our Lord and Savior's show, the soundboarding show, takes place right after this. He's really nice as far as he doesn't mind if we run over a little bit. So if Trippy wouldn't mind, if he's got that link, please feel free. You've got a wrench, throw that into the chat. I'll go ahead and wrap.
In the chat.
Of course, down the descriptor is pretty much everything that you would ever need or want to know. Irate's links are down there. Not only is Twitter, but of course his YouTube. Also, I have my Twitter. If you like what I do, I have a Streamlabs down there. Or if you want to contribute through the Patreon, that's there. I don't call the people who contribute to me patrons, because that's where my booze budget comes from. So you're enablers, and I thank you for that. And of course, I've got a TeePublic store too.
That's
so
good.
if you're looking for bootleg Medicare merchandise, better than the merchandise that he's actually putting out on his store, then stop by there. But the most important thing is the prescription for additional entertainment. These are people I like. These are people that I watch on a consistent and regular basis. These are people who might not be well known. They may have a couple more subs than me. They may have less subs than myself. That does not make them anywhere invalid. You take a look. You see what you think. And if you like what you see, then, hopefully you're going to spread the word to your friends. It's not a popularity contest. It's an entertainment contest. Mm-hmm. If you're enjoying yourself, then that's where you need to be. And please feel free and spread that around. And of course, next week, if you'll join us for Doctor on Call, we'll be talking to longtime and, dare I say, legendary wrestler Tracy Smothers. Yeah, this is going to be a good interview with a man who spent over 30 years in the profession. And I've talked to him BTS, and I'm just like, oh shit, are we using up the good stuff now? You get those guys, right? And then after that, we'll be talking to a professional piano bar singer and someone who almost became a legend by doing the singing voices for Disney, Kelly Johnson. So that's how we're rounding out the month. But I would certainly like to thank my guest this evening, Irate Prostate. Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm okay for a white guy.
You're excellent. You're awesome.
And I'd like to thank everybody else for coming out, being interactive in the chat. We do this. I do it for some selfish reasons, but I also do it hopefully to entertain you all. So thank you very much for coming out. And the doctor's office is now closed.